15 seconds. What's going on my screen? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Upmore Township Community Development Committee meeting for October 16th, 2023. We'd like to start this meeting with a moment of silent meditation. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We call the meeting to order. And Matt, you want to tell us about this announcement we have?
Sure. I'm proud to announce that our own Paul Pertel was recently awarded the PennBach 2023 Excellence in Leadership Award. Some of you may wonder what PennBach is. It is the Pennsylvania Building Officials Conference. It's a statewide municipal building officials organization whose mission is to promote professionalism of Pennsylvania code officials. The Excellence in Leadership Award is presented in recognition of outstanding leadership, visionary guidance, and dedicated service to PennBach. The recipient must have 20 or more years of membership in PennBach, have served on the state board of directors for 5 or more years, and have made significant contributions to the organization. I placed a copy of the award in your meeting book. For the audience, the award says, Paul Pertel, in recognition of outstanding leadership, visionary guidance, and dedicated service to the Pennsylvania Building Officials Conference. Giving tirelessly of himself to increase the effectiveness of the association, Paul has distinguished himself as an exceptional leader amongst the building codes community. We are not only proud of Paul for his many years of service to the building codes community, but for his many dedicated years of service to Upper Moreland Township. Congratulations, Paul.
Thank you, Matt.
I just want to say, I was on the zoning board when Paul came here, or when he started with that. Paul knows this stuff better than he knows by way. It's outstanding what he knows. And it's nice to have somebody that's been around that long, that knows all of the decisions and the reasons why certain things happen in Upper Moreland. And I'm glad he stayed here and spent all this time here. So thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Kip. Okay, next item in the agenda. Let's acknowledge who's here. We have Alex Balmer from Kilkenny Law, Jim Hirsch from Gilmore & Associates, our township engineer, Commissioners Peruzzi, Spearing, and McFatridge, our township manager, Matt Canlin, and our new recipient of the award, Paul Pertel, our code enforcement officer. Okay, we have a presentation from Sewer Authority.
I gave you the PowerPoint. I don't know if it's on here or not. I did notice that the information I passed along to the township was in your package. This is dealing with potential sewering of Byberry Road between Betts and Orangeman's. I know there was some interest on the board, and I'm just here to answer or address whatever questions you might have.
They do have hard copies in their meeting book.
Yeah, we did get a copy of the presentation. Thank you for putting that together. So, let's see, there is a couple questions.
I can just go over real briefly. My understanding is all 7 properties are on septic now. We do not have manholes or sewer mains between those intersections. In fact, Betts Road doesn't have sewer except for those that have put grinder pumps in and connected to the sewer, and there's one that does have a lateral, but there are no manholes on Betts Road. We were looking at 4 different options. These were discussed when Jim, Matt, and Paul were out at the authority a couple weeks ago. We put together the presentation that you had. Option 1 was putting in gravity-fed laterals, manholes in the backyard, dropping it down through the park and connecting to an existing line that we have running between Round Meadow and Meyer Lane. That has some advantages like the ability to connect the park eventually to sewer, but it would certainly be, we imagine, the most expensive and potentially disruptive to the neighbors that are getting sewer because there may be some loss of large trees in the back while doing the installation. There certainly are some other complications. The other one would be the same thing, but instead of going through the park, going through somebody on Round Meadow that would allow access of a sewer gravity line and connecting into the sewer system on Round Meadow. That would have the disadvantage of having to find somebody who would like put in a right-of-way for a sewer line going through there, cost and potential disruption. The other 2 that we were looking at were low-pressure sewer systems or grinder pump systems. We do have about 40 of them in the township where the wastewater goes down, goes through a grinder pump that will shred it and gets pushed out through a force main, usually about 1.25 inches, maybe expand to 1.5 inches line and connecting to our manhole or our sewer main. One option would be to potentially connect it to a new line that is going in on Betts Road. This has the disadvantage of being a little bit further. Also, there have been some complications on Betts Road as far as bedrock goes, so there could be some additional costs going that route. The last one, which I think is the most probably cost-effective, would be to put in, again, one of these force mains going between Betts Road in front of Byberry down into Orangemans and connecting into manhole at Orangemans and Byberry Road. So those are the 4 options we did, 1,000-foot view, and then in your package has sort of the pros and the cons of that. Are there any questions that you have?
Just a few.
Okay.
Grinder pump agreement recorded with Monco, Montgomery County. We have those for all existing grinder pumps?
Yes, we do have them in that way. There is a signed responsibility in case there are problems with a grinder pump. On a lot of ours are single grinder pump units, so the responsibility of the homeowner is the grinder pump itself and the discharge line all the way to the sewer main. We only have one line now that has more than one unit connection to it. That would be Mason's Mill Park and the Mason's Mill Business Center there. Besides that, this would probably involve multiple connections, so the authority would not be responsible for from the house out to the connection, but where there are more than one connection to the line as it moves down toward Orangemans Road. If we go that way, that would be the responsibility of the authority, so we would be doing supervision of that installation since it will eventually become our line.
Right, and so you would accept dedication of that line based on?
You would have to get it dedicated because the DEP essentially wants to know who to point the finger at if there's a problem.
Did we estimate what size the main would have to be? the pressurized
If it's a
main?
force main or a gravity?
Force main.
Force main would probably be an 1.5 inch line. With 7 connections, the assumption would be there would be no more than 3 grinder pumps going in at any one time, and that would be sufficient to get the flow out, and not so large that it retains in that line for an extended period of time.
So we wanted to talk about the possibilities of this force main because we know that we have a significant number of homes that are on septic systems throughout the township. I don't know if HAPRO has many, but I think,
HAPRO, if you don't mind my.
yeah, no, that's just good interruption.
I
Thank you.
don't believe HAPRO probably has any septic systems. I believe in Upper Moreland, the number is probably around 450.
Okay. That's about what our estimate was. And you know, thank you for being here, by the way. This is Eric Lindholt. He's the general manager for the Sewer Authority.
Sorry for not introducing myself.
No, that's my bad. But thank you for joining us this evening. So you know that I've been a proponent of this type of installation for many years, and that the township and the Sewer Authority jointly have an obligation to have a plan proposed for anyone that, if we want to expand the system. And if indeed, studying that proved that we had to expand, the plan itself. So I think that puts the township and the Sewer Authority with a little bit of skin in the game. We started with Manor House, and there were some pretty exorbitant numbers, and it was beyond affordability for the residents over there, and they're having a hard time. We have failing septic systems over there, and we don't want the same thing to happen here. We're on the verge of that. So we're very concerned about how an individual homeowner would be able to finance this, because excavation, piping, that's all, I get that part of it. As far as the planning goes, I had asked that we complete the 537 plan for a couple of years, and asked the township and the Sewer Authority to budget money to it, and there was not enough leadership that felt the same way. So out of these estimates that we have proposed, I see a lot of this money, this is a direct reflection of the cost per home. Where do you think the township and the Sewer Authority should join forces as far as the study goes for completing this task?
Well, I mean, we would certainly move forward with this if the township wants to ordain this line to go in. We will certainly be, that our job is to fulfill the requirements that the township has to put in a sewer line. We certainly will do that. As far as like the study, how to break it down between Gilmore and ourselves and the township, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I do believe that there was a proposal from Gilmore to do an initial study. I do not know how far that went, but from the authority standpoint, there would have to be, getting some information, doing subsurface investigation to see whether we have bedrock that's going to interfere with us, because this pipe would have to be about 3.5, 4 feet below grade. And if you have bedrock, that certainly changes things. Directional drilling, which is you just put a trench and pull the pipe through, is a great way to go. Some of you may know that we've had issues on a recent project that we have in the township where the bedrock was pretty close to the surface, and it did not probably turn out to be as cost effective as we thought, since you were hitting rock and not just all soil. But that's something that I need to go to the board about to find out, what their feeling is, and we certainly will work with the township to come to an agreement.
When you say that, Eric's talking about these 5 or 6, you're talking about doing a 537, correct?
Well, I'm not at this point. I mean, I did for 3 years. I tried to get.
That's what you just said. I didn't know, are we talking
No,
about doing a 537, or are we talking about?
I'm talking
this?
about based on our obligation to share the cost of a study.
Of a 537.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I.
Hold on. How much do we want to pare it down to look at this? In other words, we have that obligation already for the study part of it, if we decided to go township-wide. Do we want to use this as an example, as an achievable way to, like, the sewer authority's never done this. The one that we have in, on Mason Mill Road was done by Brent Athen.
Correct.
And then we got a hookup for it. And engineering cost was done by the township for that. It was for our park.
Right.
So my point is that if we had that obligation anyhow, why don't we just start here small? And there's 7 properties that aren't involved in a future Prop 37 plan.
You want to use this as a test model?
Yeah.
Okay, that's, well, I want to know which way you were going, that's all.
That's it. I mean, and I, you know, I think it's a good one. I think it's very much in line. It's not a long run. It gives the sewer authority their first experience with a pressurized main. I mean, quite honestly, I mean, I know the area. We know the challenges with excavation, and you've identified it very well. Option 4 is the most reasonably cost. HOP included. Yeah, the proposal was for, Gilmore gave us a proposal, I believe it was $8,500, is that right, Jim?
Yeah, that's what I believe it was.
Yeah,
And that was before we had the meeting with Eric and his engineer also. So, I mean, there's the thought that the authority's soft costs get built into the calculation and then, you know, divided by the per home situation. So, I mean, they're gonna be the ones building this thing, then I think they should probably be the ones doing the feasibility study.
right. No, he asked about the proposal that you guys submitted.
Yeah, no, I know he did.
Yeah, so I just wanted to circle back to that. The one quote, you have a representation of directional drilling. Is that a consultant that you have?
It is not a consultant that we have a relationship with. They're a firm that 2 weeks ago was doing work in the township with, for putting in a low-pressure system. So therefore, I reached out to them. I walked the site with the representative on site and worked with their estimator, and they got me those numbers this morning.
Cool. Anybody else have any questions?
I guess just that we would need to know what's our cost, and we'd also need to see what all these residents, the 7 residents, what their cost would be before we would start this, and if they're all in on it.
You're not really going to know until you do a study.
Well, it's gonna be 30,000, like the other ones, every other one that we spent 30,000 a household. It's the possibility, are they all interested? And we gotta know that part of it right off the bat. An idea. Or are we just gonna do it and then they'd all say, no, we're not spending 25,000 to hook up, yeah, or whatever it is. That's, I don't know numbers.
You have reasonable costs in front of you,
For each resident?
projected.
The proposal I sent to you today was just for directional drilling. I also sent you a revised or an actual cost estimate for Manor House, because there probably is more rock up there than there is in Byberry. And looking at those numbers, which would be just for the drilling cost, would be probably about 14,000 or 12,000 per house, which is just for the drilling costs. And given that, it might be less expensive just to dig, go down 4 feet and trench it but that's something that you'd have to find out where the bedrock is, how competent it is, whether an excavator could rip it or be a lot of hammering it out.
And the one thing that we discussed at our meeting is that the tapping fee is how much, 7,000?
6,000.
6,000, and then the grinder pump and the lateral assembly and that installation gets like to 10?
Probably in the 8 to 10 range for the grinder pump, all of the.
So when you go 8 to 10 plus the 6 for the tapping fee, your baseline is 16,000, and that doesn't even get you the pipe, the common pipe that's in the ground. So, I mean, I don't know if it'll get, I don't know if it's going to be 30, but it's going to be probably pretty close to 30.
And looking at Manor House would probably be more than that. The cost estimate I gave you before probably was a little low.
So I
Just so I understand, right away, we're probably looking at 30,000 a household for their cost. And then we would be picking up engineering and that stuff, whether it's between us or.
Yeah, well, I think the way the Manor House proposal was that the engineering and the soft cost would be distributed across all the connections the same way as the construction is. I think it's a board decision if you wanted to subsidize some of that by performing the soft costs or paying for that.
Okay. Is there anybody here from Byberry? Expecting one, somewhere. I did get one question about, he saw this, one of the residents on Byberry, and asked about whether they would be able to put other bids out there for the drilling.
I mean, we would certainly get competitive bids for it. The directional drilling is one that we would probably approach, but there is one that we would probably feel a little bit more comfortable with if the number was
Right.
more cost effective. So it's the thing where they could get bids for doing their laterals because that would be clearly on them. It would make sense that the laterals and the sewer, the force main all get installed by the same company, but that is certainly not something I'm going to dictate.
And did anybody look at the possibilities of staying within the PennDOT right of way, but not breaking the road?
I was not going to break the road.
Okay.
I mean, if we do directional drilling, it's all going to be between the sidewalk and the highway. We did look at it. I believe the two houses nearest Orangeman appear to have gas service. I did not see any evidence of gas service on the other homes, because obviously subsurface utilities are going to be a concern here. And it is going to be a shallow dig. The manhole out in Byberry is only about 3.5 feet deep.
Saw that. Anybody else have any questions?
I guess, where are you going from here? Do we ask the 7 neighbors
Yeah, well,
for the we know that you have those fees right off the bat,
right.
each one, to see if and who, which one of them would be willing to tap in.
Commissioners, I can tell you, we're members of the Montgomery County Managers Consortium, and I asked them to send out an email to all of the consortium members about what other municipalities are doing with this. I've already received back a few. There's people doing very creative things. So once I get all that compiled, I can share that with you. The bottom line is the financing. That's the problem. And I think if we ever hope to make a dent in this 400 and some odd folks, we've got to figure out a way of dealing with the financing. And so I think what I've seen so far is some authorities are doing things, other municipalities are doing things. So once I get all that together, I can share that with you, and then we'll see if any of those seem attractive to the board.
Okay, so we can keep this on the agenda for next month and try to find some more of these creative financing methods and get a general overview from the possible new hookups.
Okay,
Thank you, Eric.
okay.
Appreciate you being here.
I'm gonna go watch the Phillies.
Be there eventually.
Yeah. So, thank you, Eric. This does not involve you, so you can continue to leave. Part of the conversation last month was also about an overall township-wide 537 plan. With this being sort of like the spearheading catalyst for that overall study. From what I'm hearing from the budgetary perspective right now, it sounds like maybe we should drop that conversation.
That's what happened the last 3 times I brought it up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to Matt's point, right? Like, the idea here is to make a dent in the 400 and odd houses that are connected to personal septic systems at this point and gradually start to connect them to the sewer. So your cost before, Jim, was $8,500 for this road to do a study. And we had asked for budgetary cost for an overall 537 plan. Were you able to put something together for that?
I don't have that.
Okay. So I think that should get tabled too for now, and we should talk about that next meeting as well. So we can just get all those numbers in front of us, because there might be some creative funding coming out of other opportunities to do the advanced
Possibly
planning work.
DEP, possibly infrastructure money. It's
So I
all
don't want to
out
lose sight of that.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I agree. Thank you for your
Thanks.
comments. So this will remain on the agenda for our November meeting. And we'll look for more information.
Great.
The minutes for our last meeting. Any amendments to our minutes?
Nope, that was good.
Lynette has something to offer.
Yeah,
Thank you for being here.
on the second page, the second bullet says ready for 100 concept of renewable energy, which most unfortunately does not offer 30% credit for municipalities.
I'm sorry, Lynette, where are you?
Okay, second page,
Page number 2.
second bullet thingy. The very last part, which says offers up to 30% credit for municipalities. I'm not aware of that. That would be awesome.
What section is this under? I can't find what you're talking
So under EAC.
about. Okay, so.
So maybe it's not the.
Oh, I see what you're talking about,
On
down
green top.
page 4. It's page 4 for us, yeah.
Yeah, it's the very last page.
Got it.
And it is the 1, 2, 3, 4th.
Do you have any idea where she would have gotten that from?
No.
Okay.
Bad tape,
Is that?
bad tape recording.
Maybe.
There are some credits available from the IRA, but I don't know how much.
So is there
So ready
anything
for
correct
what?
about that second bullet?
So Ready for 100 is just a concept of trying to switch to renewable energy. It will, of course, solar will save certainly in the long run, and there are credits right now. I guess there are tax credits right now, and maybe they are 30%, but it's not.
Should I just get rid of which offers up to 30?
Yes.
Just get rid of that last part?
Yeah, and there are tax credits for doing solar right now, and they are available to municipalities, which they haven't been in the past. But it doesn't have anything to do with the 100, Ready for 100 concept. Somehow those got tied together and really shouldn't be. So there's tax credits available.
We'll just remove that last part with it.
Sounds good.
I do see, Lynette, on their website, tax credits are available now to cover up to 30% of the installation costs.
Right, but it's not from Ready for 100.
It's federal.
It's federal.
Okay,
So those are both true, but shouldn't be tied together.
got it.
the same way.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
How can we
for
help you?
having me. Page 4 also, under the Historical Commission. I didn't want to burden David Elsier with more than is his planned taking on from us. It says the commission will provide Mr. Elsier with edited text to proceed with creating. No, the edited text went to Dan Clark at Treasure Signs, who was doing the, Mr. Elsier's only piece of that was to take the signs from Public Works and bring them to Treasure Signs, which is true. That was the last thing that needed to be done so that they could finish that. But I just wanted to clarify that that wasn't anything. I sent something to Dan Clark and he will, the edited text. So take that from Mr. Elsier's plate and redo that as you wish so that it's just true.
Well, let me ask the same question everybody else asks every month. Where are the signs now?
The signs are physically at Treasure Sign and.
Okay, got them at Dave's office. That's good.
They're not, exactly, and, because he took them last Monday, and we were in a holding pattern, but I did get a text from Dan Clark that, you know, they're right there, and when they get to them. They got more work than they can do. That's perfect. They're a small business in our town. I think it's great. So we can wait. Is the tree down?
It's not coming down until the sign's done. They'll do it all in one shot.
All at the same time? Perfect. Okay. Well, I'm jumping over my report, so I just wanted to fix the minutes so you can vote on the minutes.
Thanks.
Any other amendments to the minutes? Okay, we'll put those into the record as amended. Thank you. And we'll follow up on any available credits for sustainable, renewable energy. Next on our agenda, we have a land development application by us for our police station and our township building. Do we have anything to present here this evening? All right, we go.
I do. How's it going? All right. Good evening. My name is Jim Hirsch. I'm the township engineer from Gilmore and Associates. With me, I have Rick Stamper from KCBA. Rick's the project manager for KCBA. They're the architects for this project. What we want to do tonight is walk you through the project, looking for a land development recommendation for preliminary final approval of the land development plans, which my office prepared and submitted to the township. They've also been reviewed by the Montgomery County Planning Commission and your APA, as well as McMahon and Associates. I prepared a waiver request letter as if this project was a private project, because that was the direction that we had, that the township didn't want to sort of skirt any of the approvals, even though you probably could if you wanted to. So we'll wait, go through the project, and we'll talk about the waivers at the end. But I'm going to let Rick kind of go through his graphics, because honestly, they're quite prettier than mine.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Rick.
Good to see you all again. Again, Rick Stamper with KCBA Architects. I believe you're all familiar with this plan. This is just an aerial view. We have the existing township building here, the library to the left, and then what will be the new police station here. We have an outdoor courtyard area, secure police parking area, the existing lot on the corner, and then the existing library lot, which had this row added for parking. And I believe, Jim, that we maintain the current amount of parking. Is that correct?
There's two less spaces on the property, but from a parking standpoint, in discussions with staff, we believe it's adequate.
Okay, and since you saw this plan last, we did extend this sidewalk through to the rear so that somebody could come up through here if you wish. In light of that, we did add a little wall and a gate here to keep this area more secure. And then you'll see down below here, we just boxed out and massing the new project that'll be built across the street. So you will see that in some of our perspective shots, how it just kind of looms in the background. I'm going to go briefly through the building plans. They're oriented the same way that the buildings are in this plan. Yep. Okay. So this is the first level of the police building. You'll see we have 4 different zones represented on this drawing. The dark blue is the very secure area. That's your Sally Port, evidence storage, cells, things of that nature. We have the light blue, which are kind of the daily operations secure area for the police. And then we have in yellow up front would be the main public lobby. And then anything in orange is what we're calling a semi-public space, which is a space where somebody would need to be invited back into or escorted through. This is the second level. We have the executive suite here. The semi-public comes up into this area too because we have the training room. So this is all laid out and designed so we can close off areas and keep the semi-public area and the secure areas separate. But on a daily functioning basis, they would all be open and it would just be one big, normal kind of working space. That would only be for special events. And then we have the basement, which fills in nicely between the 2 stairs. Again, will be mechanical space and future overflow storage, things of that nature. The township building, the big goal of this design was to essentially separate public from staff areas with security in mind. And so you can see here, again, yellow, we kind of have the spine of public access. The orange, again, is semi-public spaces, which people would be invited into. And then here we kind of grouped all the township functions kind of separate from the public spaces and secure. We have the one-stop shop concept. And so every department has a window to the lobby. And so I think that works out quite well for you guys. And we also have a new rear entry here into this space, as well as the original main entry, and then the entry down by the library, which is on a kind of a different level there. In terms of an addition, we have this space, which will be the caucus room over top of the kind of the steps in the patio you have there now, which will also helpfully serve to keep the water issues in the basement that have been occurring there. That'll help with that issue. And then we have little added vestibule here, and then added entry vestibule here. And we're also looking at the possibility of doing an outdoor patio area, turning this window into some doors off of the boardroom area, so that can be used during different events as well. Going down to the basement, you come down these set of stairs to a lower lobby, and we have the historical museum, some flex classroom spaces. And again, the public gets around to this elevator, so everybody on the main level can come down here and access this space, or from this entry, come down the lift and access that space. Beyond this door here, everything to the right is secure township spaces, and anything in gray is kind of just staff areas. We did keep the offices to the nice window wells and windows. And then everything else is kind of storage space for the offices above. And then carving out space for the EOC, along with some bathrooms and a kitchen.
What was the EOC?
The Emergency Operations Center.
Right now, it's in the police.
Yep. It's an unfamiliar acronym to lots of people.
Good, no, that's good to point out.
Except when you have a hurricane.
Right.
And then the upper story, it's basically who you have up there now, right, Matt? So it's the administrative suite for the township and the HR offices, a small conference room, some file storage in their bathrooms. So kind of a bird's eye view from the new apartments across the street. Again, just to give you some orientation, the first perspective we're going to show you will be from Center Ave, from right about this point where you would enter the parking lot. So that's what that looks like there. Again, you can kind of see the context of the houses over here, the township building, and then the new 6-story apartment buildings across the street. So this is a view more from the neighborhood side of the street looking across. You'll see we have an ADA ramp that kind of snakes up to get to the level of the entry there, and that kind of houses the signage for the police there. And other than that, we'd have a set of steps up that I guess is civic in, some sense of the word in terms of having a civic presence there. And then this is just showing more of the context with the library down here. And then what will be the lower entry, which will become a two-way in and out now. The next shot is from that area looking back up into the site. Here you can see this is the existing portion of the township building where we have kind of the vestibule added down here. And as we go up and turn the corner, you can get a sense of what that courtyard may look like. And then moving up a bit so we can see the entry into the township building here, the caucus room addition here, and then a ramp up to get up to that level, flanked by some brick planters, frames the stairs. And then after I did this slide, I realized we probably want to do a nice low brick wall here to kind of define the edge of that ramp. But other than that, we have this landscape wall that comes across the site. It does retain earth up top, which will help us a little bit with the cut and fill balance. And then behind that is the police kind of outdoor patio area. And you'll see beyond the secure parking of the police stretching beyond. And then this would be the view coming out of the entry from the township building, looking across the courtyard to the police building. And then this would be on the eastern road end of Center Ave, looking down. Again, this would be the Sally Port area of the building, the secure parking for the police, and again, just in context of the neighborhood, what that'll look like. And then this is for discussion purposes. This is at the corner of Easton and Park here. Kind of reshaping this corner, using some brick walls and some piers with some ornamental fencing in between to just shield the parking lot and kind of define this corner as kind of the entry into the township municipal complex. Again, you can kind of see the context of the 6-story building on the left side here. But the concept here, looking down, we have the parking lot, so we want to give some thought as to how we treat that corner. Oops. And I don't think, Jim, you don't have that shown on your plan yet, right?
It's on the landscape plans, but it's not on.
Okay. All right, so I think that wraps it up for me, if there's any questions.
Yeah, a couple questions. Breaking ground to completion, timeframe.
Completion of the police or the entire
The police
project?
station, and, right.
Yeah,
Cut a
so,
ribbon on the police station from when we break ground.
say we go out to bid in February, break ground late March, early April. I'd give it 12 to 16 months. I'm sure Jim will get into it. There's quite a bit of site work involved because of the detention systems required, which will take some time.
Any other questions for Rick?
No, it's been the same since we started, except for this is a nice little entrance, the
So-
way I was doing it.
To the public, we've been involved in this process and seen several different presentations like this, and the models have changed back and forth, and this is where we are right now.
Yeah, I think, Rick, you made some really good modifications and additions. A major facilitator of this whole process has been right-sizing our program for both the police and for the township facilities, but also making all the necessary upgrades infrastructurally and also for ADA requirements. So you've touched on some of the ADA modifications to the site, which I appreciate. There are a couple zones, however, especially ones that you've designated as like public gathering spaces that to me don't look like they're ADA accessible. Specifically the patio that you mentioned on Park Avenue, on that side. So if you could look into that and make sure that, that is ramp accessible, because right now it seems like the only way that you could get into it would be from inside the building. So if that's an outdoor gathering space, it would be ideal if that had.
Right now,
accessibility exterior, too.
that statement is correct. I was looking and have to study this a bit more. We have the path up here, the ADA ramp up to this entry. I was looking at if we could get one across here. And I'm just realizing we don't have the flag shown out here, but that would have to snake around the flags and connect here.
Or even from the library side. I mean, you could look at it from coming up the other end of the building too, from the side entry.
Yeah.
But regardless, there's some opportunity there if you could look into that one. What else? I had a couple other things, sorry. Internal planning, I think is great. Thank you for that. Something that was a planning highlight for this that was extremely important and wasn't mentioned was activating both sides of this building for entry into the campus and also into the building itself. Because right now we have a main entry that's off of a parking lot, and then we've got a public front on the other side that nobody uses. So with the development of the Willow Grove Shopping Center and our desire to tie all of that together into a municipal complex and a town center, we really wanted to make that spine activated from both sides. So now not only do you have a direct cut through the building, north-south, but you've got an entry lobby on the west also that connects you to the library. So you really do start to have a municipal complex between the three buildings and then whatever public spaces that are being created by our neighbors. So to me, that's an extremely important and valuable point. Okay, so a couple of things that if you could look at again. So Park Avenue side, the Sallyport wall.
So looking,
Yeah, look at page 10.
you're looking at the Sallyport.
Police
Is it a
station.
plan or a perspective?
Police station rendering, keep going. I'm sorry, the Center Ave side.
Oh, Center, oh, yeah, okay.
One more, right there. Okay, so you've got the peaked roof, thank you. And then you've got 3 little eye holes in there. And I understand that this facade is not one that we want people being able to look into because of the sensitive information or whatever that'll be happening inside. However, that facade is on a residential street. And I'm thinking maybe if we can get some depth to that facade, just so it fits a little bit more with the character of the street.
I was studying a bit in terms of how we may have this structured of having some recesses and almost like reverse pilasters type of thing, just to help break up.
Yeah,
that
something
facade.
just to break it up. So that way, you know, we're really doing our best to not have walls. And the less we can get rid of those flat facades, the better. So there's that point. And then my final point is, I understand this is the first time we're seeing it, but the Upper Moreland Township corner on Easton Road, I think sort of breaks the thematics of what we're trying to do with that corner. Building that wall, to me, does not, it doesn't.
Not
yeah.
inviting.
It's not inviting, and it doesn't do what we had originally talked that we wanted to do with that corner, was to have it more of a green space, sort of like a place where people could sit and hang out like they do over at Memorial Park.
Okay.
And the side at Memorial Park, I know, is more hardscape than not, but it's still a place where people sit, enjoy their lunch, hang out, or whatever. So if we could look at that corner in a different way too, maybe with some more landscaping.
Yeah, I think in the model here, I think the wall may appear higher than we intended. This was intended to be more of a lower wall, but.
Yeah. Well, it's also, and I know we've gone back and forth on this and people disagree with me, but something else that I've been pushing for is you've got people coming off the train, or you got people coming from this zone, and now you're bringing them across the street with these crosswalks to get to the township building, and they have to walk very long expanses down those streets. And so we've added that sidewalk from staff parking into the plaza. And if the vision is to have town center-like activities in our municipal plaza, I want to be able to use that zone. So who could say that, you know, we have a town center festival at some point, that staff parking becomes event space, the plaza becomes event space, but now we've got this unattractive, uninviting blockade stopping us from being able to get into that space from our main intersection. So maybe the wall breaks up a little bit, has some entry points in it or something.
Okay, it's something we can discuss further.
Yeah, first time seeing it,
Work it out.
spitballing, yeah, but that's my thoughts. Otherwise, awesome, thanks. It's really good to see the interior plans. I think we've got ourselves some nice layouts and good uses for people coming to the building.
Thanks for pointing those features out, Anthony. I'd like to ask, you know, this is a big investment in, from taxpayer perspective. When did the police first move into the building they're in now? Anybody know?
Oh, boy.
Andy moved in a couple years ago, but everybody else.
The original building was 1965 when the police moved in there, and my understanding is there was an addition put on in 1994 and 95.
So we have a substantial amount of age and a lack of compliance because it's grandfathered and a lot of work that has to be done. So it's about time that we move to our police into comfortable
Yeah, and I think
workspace.
whenever you go through accreditation, you're doing some gymnastics and jumping through hoops and things to
Yes.
kind of
with-
string all that
as
together.
The committee's aware, we just received our first accreditation in June of 2023. We have 3 years. They'll come back and revisit that. There were a lot of different enhancements we made at the time to be able to become accredited, and with the understanding that the board was moving forward with a new police facility. So the assessors were excited to hear about that, as we are too in the police department.
Very good.
I think it's important to note also that the way that this is being phased, we're talking about building the police building first because we need to free up the space in this facility in order to make all of the modifications and the additions to right-size this program. This building is more suited towards the municipal governmental work than it would be to retrofit it for a police station. And so that's why we're doing it in the way that in the order in which we're doing it.
Why are architects here? Anybody have any comments from the public?
I'll give you one guess what I'm going to say.
Where are the solar panels?
That too. And just energy efficiency and sustainability in general. At one point, it was mentioned that you would try to meet LEED criteria, even though you wouldn't necessarily apply for the LEED accreditation. But really, really would like to see that. You know, it's going to be a lot of new stuff, and it'd be, you know, really short-sighted and not make it really energy efficient and sustainable.
Thank you, Lynette. All right.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Rick.
All right, so we're gonna run quickly here through the land development plans and talk about waivers of the process. So that's the site plan up there, which reflects pretty much everything that was in Rick's renderings. A couple things to point out. Currently, this is a one-way exit. We would be making this a full movement driveway, the one with the library. It would line up with the new intersection for the development across the street. There'll be new ADA ramps at this corner. That's a commitment from Federal Realty as part of their land development approval for the retail building. So the plans will be coordinated with their crosswalks across there. We're also going to update the ADA ramps that don't actually exist here today on the sidewalks, so that'll have new ADA ramps along with new ones here, and then new ones for this entrance there. Other than that, I mean, from a site plan perspective, I think you could see it pretty well on Rick's plan. So we'll move on to the grading and drainage plan, so you can kind of get a sense of what we're thinking about for stormwater management. We did a lot of infiltration testing in the back area there. And what we found is that the groundwater and rock shouldn't be an issue, but the soils aren't conducive for infiltration. So what we end up doing is designing underground basins that are called managed release concepts. This is a DEP approved method, and it provides a lot of rate reduction. It provides water quality through filter mediums and amended soils, and then it mimics infiltration by just sort of metering water out as slowly as you possibly can. So those are two subsurface infiltration or managed release concept basins that'll be located underneath the main parking area here, and then underneath the police dedicated parking area there. There are no waivers for stormwater management. So, I mean, you guys know how strict your ordinance is, and we designed it to that ordinance. And as you can see, they're very, very large in size.
Is it all handled in those two tanks? Or does the plaza in the middle or any of the other green spaces account for water?
We didn't put, we put the basins underneath the parking areas, and we didn't use any of the green space for stormwater management.
Okay, so then the point being then that we're doing better than, we will be doing better than our ordinance.
You're meeting your ordinance.
But you didn't use all the green space in your calculations.
Yeah, but.
Oh, well,
that's
so in the
impervious.
what your ordinance requires is the pre-development model that we use to get the existing rates. We have to assume that the entire area that is being disturbed is meadow, even though like a lot of it is impervious because we're disturbing that parking that's there and putting back building. A lot of ordinances, you only have to account for like the net increase in impervious, but you got a very strict ordinance, so we assume the whole site as meadow. So,
100% meadow.
right. Yeah, and in addition to that, there are currently no stormwater detention facilities on this entire site. So once the project is done, there'll be, 2 very substantial facilities. Other than that, on grading and drainage, I don't really have much to add. I want to show you the landscaping plan, and then we can start to talk about the waivers, because a few of the waivers start with landscaping. This is a landscape plan. This has the wall that Rick had presented. We put that in here because what ends up happening is there's some mature landscaping along this corner that's probably going to have to come out regardless of what you do, just because of like the grade change and sort of how you want to do that. So what that does is it generates some replacement trees. I know like you'll be adding landscaping, with whatever you do on the corner there, but it's going to cause a bit of a deficiency, and we want to capture that when we talk about waivers and whatnot. So one of the waivers we're going to ask for is to not put a tree in this parking lot island right here. And the reason for that is that the infiltration basin is directly below it. And there's probably only about 2 feet of cover from the top of the stone, the infiltration area, to the pavement. So what we don't want is roots and whatnot kind of getting down into the stormwater facility. So there's a waiver there for that. Another waiver is for the street trees along Center Avenue. The ordinance prescribes every 40 to 60 feet there being a tree. The thought is we put 2 here and we add them, and then for a lot of the expanse of the building, just because of the close proximity of the building to the sidewalk, it's kind of tough to fit trees in this area. And then the thought with this being the police dedicated exit, that, from a site distance perspective, we don't want to put trees too close to that entrance. So we end up with having 3 shade trees along the street here. And I want to say that the ordinance would require 8.
5.
3 street trees along Center Avenue where 9 would be required, just based on like the distance from here to there divided by 50. We want to talk about any of these? Want me to run through all the
We're
waivers?
talking about street trees out front in that corner too?
What'd you say?
Street trees in the corner? I'm looking at your waivers right now. Is there a street tree waiver for the corner of where you said we're losing trees?
Down here?
Yeah.
No, there wouldn't be a street tree waiver for that. You're losing trees, but you'd be replanting some, and
Okay.
we'd be able to comply there. There's also existing street trees all along Park Avenue that meet the requirement of the ordinance.
I wonder if there would be opportunities, Jim, to more heavily landscape that corner. One of the challenges Commissioner Prusi brought up was with the wall, and I understand his perspective. I guess one of the objectives was to also not be staring at a parking lot. So we've got to figure out how we want to treat that corner, whether it's with landscaping or some other kind of treatment so you're not looking at cars. And maybe we can fit more trees over there. Just a thought.
Really shrubbery.
Or shrubbery, yeah.
So, shrubbery, same with, next to this, I don't know, Sally Point, security up on Park Avenue. Even though the building comes out to the street, we'll still have some shrubbery there. We just can't fit trees.
Yeah, there'll be shrubs along here. This is the narrowest part, and then this little wall, and then the top side of that wall, there'll be some ornamental trees, which, you know, three ornamental trees, you could probably make a case is equal to a street tree.
Why is there not a street tree at the corner of the library entrance lot? To the north, the far
Northwest
The
corner.
library entrance down here?
north,
What's
Okay.
Center Avenue? Yeah.
right?
There's an existing tree there.
There's two there, right?
There's,
And there-
there's one right there, and then there's another one there.
Okay.
So we would just be leaving those.
Okay, so that brings us to waiver request number 4. Street-
Yeah, so waiver 4 is for widening along Park Avenue. And just for a bit of perspective, the same waiver was granted to Federal Realty across the street. And, you know, the idea being that Park Avenue is wide enough. I mean, they're adding parallel parking on their side of the street. From my understanding, there wasn't the appetite for that on this side of the street just because of the impact to the existing improvements in the front of your building. Probably make the
so-
ADA you're trying to do even more difficult.
Right now on Park Avenue, facing Easton Road, the flow of traffic in that direction currently permits street parking. Is that something we want to eliminate?
You're saying on this side of the street
Not
allows
Park Avenue, I'm sorry, Center Avenue.
Center Avenue facing Easton. So
Yeah, right, right where your
street
cursor
parking
is
all
now.
along here.
Yeah.
There was, I think, a comment in McMahon's letter. Look at Anton, doesn't. What we're talking about doing is maybe not restricting parking along here, but restricting parking along like maybe a point here to a point here, and that's for pickup and drop off to the police station.
But we have a lot of driveway there too. I was just thinking about from Summit all the way down, just to have one side of street parking. That could be discussed later too.
I mean, honestly, I think that Center is wide enough to have the on-street parking. You just want to limit it for whatever the
Visual
police
obstruction, in and out of driveways.
operations are, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, these are all very common sense and achievable requests for waivers. Number 5?
Number 5 was the street trees that we already
Okay,
talked about. Number 6 is for replacement trees. There are some very large mature trees that are adjacent to the parking area in the back here that have to come out to, facilitate this plan. So what that does is it increases the amount of replacement trees that you're required to put in per the ordinance. I think we did a decent job of trying to fit as many trees in these areas, in these plaza areas here that we could, without like creating a forest area there, which I don't believe was like the intent of the plaza design. So basically what I'm saying is that I believe that we've put as many trees on this property as, feasible to also achieve what you guys want to achieve. And so the waiver ends up being, we would be required to plant 33 trees and we are planting 18. So we're deficient by 15 trees. And, you could elect to plant them somewhere else in the township. I mean, that's what any applicant would offer to do for you.
I'm in favor of that. Any comments? That's all the waivers.
There's just 2 like minor ones to start, and that was just that the application be joint, preliminary, and final, and that we don't survey 400 feet around this property because you don't want to know what that would cost you.
Okay, the only other comment, when Kevin, you brought up the parking there, you're right, you can park on, I'll say, our side of
Center Avenue.
Center. The opposite side of the street is no parking for that block. You can't park both sides on that street there.
Would you consider flipping that?
I think that would be something that
We
you'd
would
have the
ask for
police look
recommendation
at.
from the police, yeah.
But you can't park on the other side.
And if you go past our property now, no, never mind, I take it back.
If you go past Seminole Avenue,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
believe there is parking both sides.
Yes, then there is.
Okay.
Native trees?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
While we're talking about that though, Chief, if you want to have your traffic guys look at that, whether we flip-flop the no parking to the opposite side of the street, or this side, have your guys look at it just to give us a recommendation, what you think?
We can do that.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Any questions about this, these waivers? Okay. Anton, want to jump right in here with your traffic? You're not going anywhere.
For this.
Thank you for being here, Anton.
For,
No, just for this one,
for
yeah.
this project?
We'll get him later. He,
I wasn't involved in this for this, but I'll
Well,
speak
you-
as far as like we looked at parking. Yeah.
you,
Only 3 more months, don't worry about it.
you got a review letter here about the parking, you know, about the ADA ramps, about,
Let me just say that we are in receipt of a review letter from McMahon and Associates, and they will comply with all their comments.
Okay. Thanks, Anton. Okay, any,
It's public now.
yeah.
While you're up there, anything from MCPC?
No, they were generally very supportive of the proposal. There was nothing that we missed or of note out of APA, Paul?
Correct, right. They were just concerned, not concerned, they wanted attention, our traffic engineer just to look at the PD access on the Center Avenue. And I think Jim has addressed that with respect to the trees. And I talked to Chad Dixon from McMahon a couple weeks ago, and they're going to recommend some signage along there, emergency vehicles entering and exiting the highway. So that was the main concern from the APA.
The one comment from Montgomery County about an easement. In fact, appears to be a wall proposed along the eastern property line. We recommend coordinating coordination with the neighboring property owner and potential need for a construction easement to access site. Do you agree with that, or do you think that's not necessary?
We can take a look at it. There's an existing wall there now, and the wall they'll be building to screen the parking for the police, we'll take a look at it, but.
Anybody from the public or any of the commissioners have any comments? Any reason not to look in favor of these waivers? Okay. Move it.
Public comment?
November board meeting? Okay.
You said commissioner.
Get a resolution from the solicitor.
Anybody from the public or commissioners?
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Rick. Okay. next item on our agenda is emergency chimney repairs at the Township Administrative Building.
This was something that we were originally going to be including with the renovation. I think given the timeline, I don't think we can afford to wait that long. If you saw the pictures, we do have some bricks that have fallen, and I think it's to the point now where we're going to need to address it immediately rather than putting it off.
So why does it have to be a board action if it's just like property maintenance?
It's, you know, the dollar figure, it's pushing $10,000. I think we do it as a housekeeping, I make sure you guys are informed and, you know, if there's any concerns with, you know, maybe doing it a different way. But I think it's probably something that needs to get done that we probably don't have much of a choice on.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, there's deferred maintenance is a problem.
I agree.
To be taken care of on a regular basis, like we would take care of our houses. So
It's like painting, right?
it's gotta happen.
You saw they've started starting to repair woodwork and making good progress so far.
All for it.
Okay, you have someone here from 2300 Maryland Road?
Yes.
Okay, let's go, let's jump, I'm sorry. Any public comment, any other commissioners about fixing our chimney? Hearing none. 2300 Maryland Road, a request to pipe into our stormwater system, correct?
That is correct. My name is John Long. I'm the property owner.
Thank you for joining us. So tell us about your parking lot on Maryland Road.
Okay, currently the water that comes off the roof of the building and the water and some of the water that comes off of the Pico line area that is uphill from the parking lot cascades down that hill, and it currently sheets and then goes across a grassy area. In some cases, it runs down the sidewalk. What we'd like to do is control that water in the parking lot by putting in a 2 foot by 4 foot inlet, and then tie that in, run a pipe about probably about 35, 40 feet to the existing rainwater management system that is located predominantly under the sidewalk. Put a manhole cover, you know, a box and a manhole cover there, and that would help to alleviate that problem significantly. You know, we would also like to tie the downspouts into that box that would be on our property.
So when you say stormwater management, you're just talking about a collection system?
Yeah, just collecting.
Not an infiltration system at all?
No, just trying to collect it and get it so it's not causing any problems. We also have some water in our basement, things like that, that we're hoping that'll help to alleviate that problem as well by getting the water all, you know, into the stormwater drains quicker.
So I'm familiar with your parking lot and your building that faces Commerce predominantly. And
Well, it goes 3/4 of the way around the building. But this area is, I have a diagram.
Okay.
It's $10, wasn't it?
Should
You
have.
got it?
Have it.
Yeah.
Have it.
Oh, yeah, we did see that.
Yeah,
You know,
so it's predominantly on the section of that faces Maryland.
right. Okay. Any questions? What are the challenges here
Look at this.
with this?
I haven't seen the plan yet.
Okay.
Mr. Long's been working with Dave Elser on this from Public Works.
Yeah, I talked to Dave about this.
Yeah, we did an exploratory dig that Dave and Jason came out and looked at, just to make sure we knew exactly what we had to go into. He took a look at that, and then and we had the right depth and everything else. We obviously had to make sure there was a gas line that we had to make sure that was not going to get in our way, so we had to very carefully dig around that. And it looks like it's a very viable alternative to helping to solve my problem on the building. And the problem of the rainwater running down the sidewalk in heavy rains.
Any questions? I mean, like normally, something like this, we would look for some type of infiltration or some type of, like you referred to the word stormwater management. You know, an ask like this is something that I would personally look for. You know, now we do a residential property, people put rain barrels in, some kind of a basin area, maybe at the edge of the parking lot before the water from outside comes into your property.
Before it comes into the property?
Well, you talked about all the water that comes from the power lines, you know.
Some of it does, yes.
Yeah, so just something that you would try to, a rain garden, before you would put the water into the system, something like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, the way the property's laid out, the Pico land, my driveway that accesses the backside of the property is right on the property line. I mean, it's an existing condition. It's sort of, you know, some of the challenges you're faced here. You know, you've got existing conditions and there's only so much you can do. So we have an existing driveway there that allows access around the backside of the building. And I don't know that there's a way that I could put a retention basin or anything on Pico's property, or how that would be, you know, designed.
No, that was when I said before, I didn't mean like at the edge of your property, but that wasn't really a good comparison. I know you're not looking to expand the building or do any addition to the building. It's just to retain the current water, rainwater.
Now, one thing I would be willing to do is down at the bottom, there's some drainage that's already existing on the property for the forward portion of the building, the portion of the building that's closest to the intersection.
Right on the corner.
So just back from the stop sign, you know, we could put a small little rain garden there if that would, you know, please the commissioners. You know, I mean, it would help to prevent, because, you know, I don't understand it fully, but I get what you're attempting to do. You want to restrict, you know, flooding for others downstream. And it's pretty simple. And I'm downstream in this scenario, so I don't know that I'm going to do much good, but I guess when it gets, you know, if it helps a little bit, you know, as we get closer to Route 611 there, where we get those occasional floods, you know, I mean, we could probably put something in that would be maybe, I don't know, 8 by 15, and I don't quite know, but, you know, I don't know how deep you'd want me to go. You don't want it to be a fall hazard, but maybe if it was recessed down, I don't know, a foot, 18 inches. You know, again, I'm not sure what like some of the requirements are as far as fall protection, and you don't want to make it too deep, right? So
that would be something that like a landscape architect or somebody like that would design and present. But
Present to our township engineer.
I think if he's willing to do some kind of stormwater feature on that corner, then a condition of allowing the connection is that you provide something there, and we can work with them to, you know, decide what's appropriate. You know, I want to be more than fair, but I think that like there's some green space there. There's probably an opportunity for a depressed area with some landscaping, and it probably benefits stormwater, and it'd probably make that corner a little bit, the aesthetics of it a little better too. So if that's something you're willing to do, then I think that's,
yeah,
you know, an appropriate condition.
yeah. I mean, you know, I don't know what dimensions. There's not a lot of space there.
Yeah.
But you know, if we were to put something in, let's say, I don't know, 8 by 15.
Yeah,
that
and when
went
you
down
said, you know,
a
it
foot.
wouldn't even need, a foot, 8 inches. Like,
Okay.
Something, some kind of depressed area there.
Okay.
And yeah, we can work with you.
Okay.
And the location of the inlet that you're proposing is in your current parking lot, not in your current green space.
I'm sorry, what? Say it
Sorry,
again.
the proposed inlet
Yes.
that we're talking about is in your current parking
That is
page area.
correct. It's
not
at the bottom
in your-
of it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's at the bottom of it.
Yeah, I think I think those are fair options. If we look
Okay.
at the inlet and we look at some kind of corner landscape feature to try to mitigate some runoff from your property, that would be a win-win for you and your neighbors.
Okay.
I actually tried to get a rain garden directly across the street from him at the Chaparral Apartments there, because there is a storm inlet over there already.
Yeah.
So 8 to 10 inches deep is sufficient?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so.
Wait, I mean, we're not designing this thing
No.
right here.
No.
Yeah,
So we'll talk, this is just like a condition of approval for the connection to the stormwater.
Okay.
And then that can come even afterwards.
Okay. So where do I go from here? Because I'd like to get we're planning on paving, and that's how a lot of this all came about.
Here we go.
We're in need of it, so
Nah, I go there.
don't go there, okay.
I said I do go there, to your property. So, yeah, I know. That's what I
Yeah,
was saying.
we are in need of big time.
Yes, you are. Yeah, I'm hoping it also alleviates some of our problem in that intersection where you're talking about. We get water run down that, on both corners
sides,
there.
yep.
Yeah,
The water builds up, and then you have an ice problem later. So I'm hoping this will alleviate some of that, being able to put it underground instead of on the blacktop road on that corner. So hopefully it helps that part of it too.
yeah.
I think, are you thinking moving this forward and then you just got to comply with Jim for
Yeah.
rain garden? Or however Jim wants to do it. Okay.
So I guess just to be clear, so we would be putting it on the November 13th board meeting for approval, but it sounds like he may need to actually start doing the work sooner than that. Is that what I'm hearing?
If, I'd like to do it sooner. I mean, if I
Yeah.
have to wait, I have to wait, but, you know.
Well, I guess it's just paving. I guess you can pave all the way up through.
The whole
December.
idea is that he could do his excavation and get his storm inlet
Right.
in there and the piping done.
You could do the paving
So-
anyway. You're repaving what you're repaving, so
Yeah,
Paul would be able to do that anyway.
Yeah, and I think we'll need something from the solicitor's office, sort of like a right-of-way agreement or something tying into our municipal storm sewer system. Sure. Okay, great.
Is it like a maintenance agreement?
Yeah.
Sorts?
yeah. Chase, the Public Works guy said that,
Maybe a maintenance agreement.
just to, so it's clear that that's my responsibility out to your pipe. Yep, that's only fair.
So from here, he talks to you, Paul, or who's the contact here? You or?
Well, I guess it would still be Dave Elsier from Public Works, but our solicitor's office is going to prepare an agreement for the November 13th meeting that the board will sign off on, and then
And Jim?
you'll have to coordinate with any designs with our Jim Hirsch from the Township Engineer's Office.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think that there may be time for him to pave, but I doubt there's time for him to have the rain garden designed and then installed this planting.
Yeah,
He just has to agree with your,
So we just need an approved design at some point, and then we'll figure out implementation.
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
So this sounds like a good fit for you and us both.
Okay.
And potentially in the future, we'll be looking for some more cooperation from you as we develop the power line trail. Don't know if it's applicable or not, but it might be.
That sounds exciting, actually. You know, it's, you've got open space there that should be used. I mean, they
Yeah.
use it in Horsham Township
We have
to a
we have
great
lease-
deal.
We have a lease agreement with Pico. We've been working on it. Anton's probably going to give us an update on it later in a couple of minutes.
No, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
So where do I
anybody
go
else have
from
any
here?
Questions for Mr. Long? Okay, hearing none, we'll move all that stuff forward. We'll look for the agreement. And
again, I just want Mr. Long to have, who's he contacting here for the rest of this?
Dave Elsier has been working with already.
Okay. Everything will go through Dave Elsier.
Yes, Dave and Jason, awesome guys. They've been
Okay.
very responsive to me, almost excessively so. So
Okay, that's your
I
contact
commend them.
for the rest of the project.
Yeah. What's that?
That's your contact for
Okay,
the rest
so
of the
Dave
project.
is my primary contact, and then he'll pass along. How about for the rain garden? That's Jim?
He'll get Jim involved.
Okay, so I'll just go through
Go
Dave.
through Dave.
You got it. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks, John.
Appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's take care of this school district business right now. Members of the school district, thank you very much for being here. And thank you for your service. Good evening.
Good evening, how you doing?
Thanks for coming back again.
No problem. Let me, any questions I can use the picture. It's 2-0, by the way. Phillies. In case anyone was wondering.
What is it, 2-1?
2-0 Phillies. All right. How you doing? Andrew Greco, Facilities Director for the Upper Moreland School District. Trying to see if I can get this to... Doesn't want to seem to project. All right, I don't know why my computer's not helping us right now. Sorry.
Are you trying to put it up on the?
Yeah, I'm trying to just get it up, connect through. All right.
Yeah, you just had yours up. Should go right up.
Yeah, I think that the guy in there has to switch it.
While we wait, do you want to give us a play-by-play on the game, since you gave us the score?
So it was 2-0, back-to-back homers, Schwarber and then Harbor.
There we go. All right.
So,
Should have dragged that out a little bit longer.
bottom of the second. Okay, there we go.
Awesome.
All right, so the first picture here just gives you an idea of the layout of each floor. This is the basement, or what is considered the first floor, since there is entrance through the parking lot on this floor. This whole floor is pretty much tenant space. The whole area is 7,756 square feet of tenant space. Currently, we have no one lined up to take this space. Haven't had many hits on it yet. So then the next one here will give you an idea of the work being done. Oop, a little too far for you. Oop, just did something. Okay, so these are the next two floors. I'll show you the second floor, which is the main floor, where our boardroom will be, as you can see in this picture. This area right here, which is 1,644 square feet, is tenant space that can be rented. Same thing with this space here, along with this space here combined is 2,137 square feet. The only areas that we are doing work right now on this floor would be the boardroom area and this area over here, which will be all of HR. Then it will be a conference room here, small kitchenette, bathroom, and then we will have our front desk receptionist sitting here. And then these three rooms here are. Everything else after this is available space, but there's currently no work being done in any of those spaces until we have a tenant. That will also involve us paying permit fees and stuff when all that work is done, but until we have a tenant, we're not getting involved with any of that right now. The next floor here will show you the top floor, which is...
Actually, excuse Andrew, can you not show it, please? For security reasons, we should be showing the floor plan of our buildings.
Okay, sure thing.
I think it's totally fine to share this.
Oh, you have to use your microphone, please.
Yeah, could you just state your name, please, just for the,
I'm sorry to interject like this. My name is Jolie Price. I'm a school director in Upper Moreland, and for security purposes, we shouldn't be sharing the floor plans of district buildings publicly. While I think it's perfectly appropriate to share the document with you so that you can make decisions, it shouldn't be shared in a public manner.
So, funny you should say that. One of the questions I have is about security and rental space. So you alluded to security and, planning. But the projection of, is there any students that are expected to visit this site for any reasons, education-wise?
No.
Not in the immediate future. But
So you understand why, you have these awesome and required background checks and custody and all that stuff about walking into a school building. So my questions were that, is there student involvement in this projected construction? Because we're talking about rental space for other businesses. And how,
I mean, this is more a matter for Andrew than for me. I only wanted to interject about sharing this publicly, but I don't want to steal your stage.
You're fine, thank you.
you understand where I'm going with that?
Yes, I do. As of right now, I mean, there would be no education going on in this building. This building is strictly administration building for administration staff only.
So you did mention the permit fees that are in
Yeah.
question at this point.
We're strictly for the work being done specifically for the district and the administration staff that are going to be moving to this building.
Okay, so the rest of that space, which is leasable space, is shell space,
It's
unaffected by
it's being left exactly how it was. We're not renovating any of that right now. The ceiling, drop ceiling still up in those areas. That will actually be walled off.
Okay.
So in the first picture, the main hallway that goes down, that will be walled off, leave a hallway egress so we have space for anyone in the building to access the bathrooms.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask there, it looked like,
And it's the
not to
same,
harp on the fact that we saw the plan, but it
Yes.
did look like there were some life safety implications of maintaining access to the
yes, there's
eastern
a
portion.
pathway through for everything. You can get to each bathroom on the first or second floor. The third floor will only have access to school staff.
Okay,
Unless you were there to meet someone, you would be brought up, but other than that, you won't have access to get onto those floors.
okay.
And same thing for getting into the building, you would need to be buzzed in for security purposes.
So the only thing we're really here for, they already paid $66,000 in permit fees, right, Paul?
That's correct.
They paid it, so it's whether we return it to them. They're looking for a refund of that. So really, that's the only reason we're here.
Right.
My only comment is, and I don't know which way I'm going yet, and I'll probably be talking to Susan or Kevin or with your board. We always waive, in the last future for a while, we've waived permit fees for
Years.
several times, years.
$47,000 worth,
And
That's recently.
that's recently.
yeah,
And
5 years.
we've never gotten a break on when we rent or do something with the school district. Has nothing to do with you. I just want to I'll say that. This is from board to board, is the way how I'm speaking. So we've always worked with you, waiving fees, but when we've had fees, they've never been waived by the school district back to us. That's just a comment, not a question for you. Like I said, it's above you. You're,
And everybody with the school district, not necessarily you too, and Kip's point that out, it's been a longstanding request about field fees. I personally, I'm okay with electric fees for turning lights on and turning lights off. I think they're very reasonable. But as far as field space and everything, and I think, we've identified the reason to waive permit fees and some of the other fees that we have here is because it's the same footprint. the school district tax base and the township tax base is identical. And for those reasons, we look for the same consideration when it comes to field space. And I think that's the conversation here.
And I think the other point, to be clear too, we're not asking for 100% transfer of goods without compensation for the services provided as part of that exchange, right? So when we waive permit fees, we're waiving the fees for the permits, but inspections and that kind of manpower coverage is still paid for, right? And it's the fair exchange of paying for the services that you're getting. So to Commissioner Spearing's point, paying for the electric, paying for maintenance after an event, paying for cleanup, takedown, nobody's opposed to paying for that kind of things. But some of that overage on top of that type of service should be something that the two entities hopefully can come to some kind of an agreement on, because since 2017, we've waived $47,000. And if we were to add this 66,000 on top of that, we're over $100,000 of waived permit fees in 6 years. That's substantial money coming from the same tax base.
Okay, and with that, we have quarterly meetings with their board, and I think it'll be addressed there. And again, they already paid this, so it's a matter of whether we refund it or not. We could wait to talk to them if you want to.
So I appreciate board members being here, and one of the analogies I use is you have a fee per student for participant on a...
Yeah, it's a pay-to-play fee.
Right, and it's the same price for, every activity. I was actually okay with that, but then when we decided, hey, we have a turf field and we have a higher cost for that. And my analogy is that this is the same turf field that the football team uses.
Yes.
Do we charge each member of that football team an additional cost? And I don't know the answer to that.
Well, we charge $15 to pay to play. That's the same for groups that come in. Now, if it's a group that does it for a annual agreement.
Like the soccer club.
Or a season, like the Upper Moreland Soccer Club, they do an annual agreement. Or if it's just a seasonal agreement, like I know we have with lacrosse and other ones like that, it's all the same for them. It's just based off of the price is based off of doing the agreement for the whole season of renting the field, instead of calculating out $15 per kid over that amount of time. It's just a flat rate of doing it for that price when they do the annual or the seasonal agreement with us. But if it's just they rent for one day, I am positive they do a pay to play just like the students do, the $15 pay to play. And if they request lights and stuff like that, that's an extra cost just to cover the energy cost of using it.
Right, and that's not my understanding, that it's not the same cost.
Yeah, the only time it's different is for a class 3. They're more money because they're not affiliated with the district at all. So if it's affiliated with the district, it would be a class 2, and then above a class 2 is
No
just-
problem with that.
Yeah.
No problem at all with that. Yeah, so my understanding is that you pay per student or per team member, and then when a club wants to use a turf field, there's a jacked up cost for that. So they're the kind of costs that we're talking about being imposed to.
I got you.
Anybody else have anything to say? I am in favor of waiving the permit fees if we can come to a resolution on field use.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Would you like that moved to the November
Sure.
meeting, or did you want to meet?
Will you have a meeting with the school district before our November 13th meeting?
I believe we do. Let me confirm. Yes, we have one on November the 8th.
Okay, we'll look for your recommendations for that meeting then, and let's put on the agenda for November.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up, Dylan.
Thank you. Are those members, are the meetings with the school district public meetings?
No.
Okay, I've never been invited, but I don't know if,
It's a quarterly meeting with the administration. We just started it maybe 4 or 5 years ago at the earliest.
I was aware that they were happening and just not whether or not they were public. It would also be interesting to know for that meeting, during the same period of time since 2017, what the total cost might have been of the requests that have come from the district. I'm sorry, for the requests that have come from the township to use district.
I can tell you for the Parks and Rec, this is an exact figure, but our Parks and Rec director said that typically we pay about $10,000, give or take a little bit, just for the use for the summer programs for Parks and Rec. And that's the bulk of it. That's the main, and then there's of course Little League fees, but for the township, we do have the Parks and Rec fees that we have to pay.
Okay, well, going into the meeting, you said November 8th, going into that meeting, have a clearer accounting of that, because it, clearly you've got the data around what the waivers this district has requested, and I'd like to just understand the other side of that. I'm not trying to make an argument either way, just.
No, I appreciate the conversation. It's
Yeah.
good.
And that, Matt and Susan talk about it before we even meet. And usually it's 2 commissioners and 2 school board members. Matt, you're,
Chief Block.
Chief Block.
Yeah, that's usually about it.
So that's who the meeting is usually there, just so you know.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next on the, any input from the public, other commissioners regarding the permit fee waiver? Okay. Totes. I have no objection to the,
I put this on here, it's more of an informational thing. We put it out, I had talked to the commissioners at the last meeting, just one-on-one. I called some of the commissioners. This is just a flat fee of $100 for the 95 gallon and for the 45 gallon, 75. It's a one-time fee. We're not charging you extra trash fees or anything like that. It is to cover the cost of the can, getting it in, because we have to pay shipping to get them here. We have to pay employees. You will pay this amount to the township in this building. Then it will go, they will send a message over to the Public Works, and then Public Works would deliver it to your home. That was the whole reason we put it on here. We didn't have, we were a little, this is a new venture for us. The main thing is to cut down on workman's comp claims, because these guys, the amount of trash that they lift in a month is staggering. So I just wanted to get this settled because we had multiple people calling us at Public Works commissioners, and I just wanted to settle this quickly. So that's why I wanted to put it on here.
okay.
Is that something, Alex, that could just be approved by simple resolution setting? Okay, so we'll put it on the November 13th meeting for formal approval. But I guess is the consensus to go ahead and start charging this for folks so we can get that moving?
I don't even think you need a resolution for that, Matt. I think a just simple vote and motion would work.
So on the 13th, just do that, okay.
Right.
Commissioner.
Well, I had some thoughts about this. When you move away from the township, you have to leave the container at the property. So the people aren't really buying it, they're renting it, right? And maybe they should get a refund when they move for, because they paid $75 for the thing. I don't know. It's just a thought.
I'm opposed to that kind of idea because like Commissioner McFadden said, we're not charging you for an extra pickup. It's a one-time cost. Yes, I appreciate the comments that the trash receptacle will stay with the property.
And we have had, besides the amount of just the trash can, repairs. We've had to put extra bars in some of them. when they did the other work, the wheels and stuff. We have handled that, so that's kind of, yeah, the other expense we'll have that's ongoing, but we handle that in-house.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments about additional trash totes? All right, hearing none, we're moving on. Let's get to the zoning hearing board meeting before I forget to announce that. On October 26th at 7:30 in this room, there will be a zoning hearing meeting. The petitioner is 230 Fairhill Street for the property located at 551 North York Road. Applicant seeks a variance from Upper Moreland Township Code, Chapter 350, to permit a two-sided freestanding sign with a facade area of 79 square feet instead of the permitted 40 square feet. Property is located in the C2 zoning district. This is the student housing, correct?
Yes, but today we just received a continuance request from the applicant, just for scheduling. They want to go to December 14th, zoning hearing board meeting.
Oh, okay, so forget what I just said.
Correct.
Thanks for letting me do that, Paul. So it's a denial for the 26th. Okay, Anton, why don't you come up here and grace us with your traffic report?
Thanks for having me.
You came on a good night, because I can't ask too many questions.
In your packet is our October report. I was just going to go over a few projects, a few things to note, and then can ask away on questions. Two things going on: Warminster Road, the bridge reconstruction, and then our sidewalk project. I think that construction, last we heard, is going to extend into December for the bridge. Our sidewalk work, we're coordinating to get them started out there next week. They had to do some, Pico had to get out there to just move some guy wires, and we have to coordinate with the bridge because we're tying in this storm. So we have to time that a little bit, but goal is to have them done before the bridge opens.
While we're still talking about Warminster Road.
Sure.
Are we, all the crosswalks that we discussed earlier, that's all at Mill Road?
Yeah, that's all part of the bridge.
ADA
project.
ramps and the bridge project?
Yeah, they're gonna handle that.
Is that
part.
is that the end of the scope for the center line or the
Their
ADA?
limit of work?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much is Mill Road on that side of the bridge.
Okay.
And they're putting in one of those rapid rectangular flashing beacons at that crossing too.
And do we have a tentative date for the actual bridge opening? Is it still December?
I haven't heard an actual date.
Okay.
Last I heard it was gonna go into December. We're trying to find out where they are in the process.
Okay. Please, Ken.
Next thing we have is a bunch of projects in design process right now. Two in the similar area, Blair Mill Road. That's the lengthening the right turn lane. We're working on the property owner coordination for that. We've sent letters out. We'll have to follow up on that. The other one is Maryland and Commerce. And there's a little bit of work on the Jefferson Hospital property, and we've coordinated with them. And we're looking to have start talking about putting a bid package together here at the end of the year so that we can go to construction next year for Maryland and Commerce.
And are we going to coordinate the replacement of the lining of the
Bridge.
The bridge?
Maryland Road Bridge.
Right.
That one we're waiting for. We submitted a DCED MTF grant for
Right.
that work. Hopefully in November, that's when we might hear those awards.
So what's tentative as far as shovels in the ground for Commerce in Maryland?
Spring of
Spring, okay. So there's a good chance that the lining of the pipe could be coordinated with that.
Yeah, I have to see where our design is progressing.
And we have some grant money for that. Do we jeopardize that at all by extending our construction to?
For Maryland and Commerce.
Yeah.
It's June of '24, it has to be completed by. So we'll keep in touch. The county's pretty good, as long as we're moving along, if we can need an extension. There's a portion of overlap of our project with the Horsham Township Blair Mill Road improvements where they come down Commerce a certain bit and so there's a little bit of overlap, so there's kind of a timing issue there as far, because they're not starting their work till next year. I'm sure that's going to be longer than what Maryland and Commerce would be. So something we're going to have to keep tabs on as that project progresses too. Just want to note the Turnpike interchange, we're trying to target having getting through our preliminary layout of the new ramp widening, what we have to do with the bridge, the vertical. And we're going to try to get the PennDOT and the Turnpike here, hopefully by the end of the year with the plan so that we can get the consensus on the limits of the improvements and everything there. And I think that's something for next year we're looking to push for funding, if we have that in hand. So that's a priority. The Upper Dublin had their Welsh Road traffic adaptive system they put in, and that's been set up and optimized, and they just asked for, if anybody's driving on there, any feedback that they notice along that corridor that if they need to make future.
So everything's in place now?
Everything's in place, the system's set up, and they're past the optimization page and it's in observing, so if anybody's in your daily travels.
So we made a contribution to that, correct?
I believe we did.
And this was also the installation of fiber optics all along Welsh Road?
Correct.
Okay. My only comment is just a general comment about all this money we're spending on smart lights. So I'm sitting at Byberry and Davisville, and there's nobody sitting in the left-hand turn lane coming from County Line Road, but there's two cars in the park coming from the YMCA and the left arrow goes, and it's two left arrows. Why is it not through traffic for the rights? I mean, the whole idea is
to keep it moving, yeah. Right. I'll check with Mike in Public Works to see how that's operating.
Okay, but I mean,
it should be not come up if there's not a vehicle there.
Right.
Sometimes video gets messed up with shadows and time of day and lighting, the sun, but it should be majority of the time operating as you're describing. It should.
I'm all in favor of all this video stuff at the intersections, so I don't tear up loops anymore. But the whole idea of the loop system, it was pretty good. It worked, and I've got this conversation back and forth from engineers and from technicians that this happens with the video system. So there's different ways to change it to make it more accurate.
Right, and I know, talking with Mike, who's in Public Works, we're also looking at not just video, we're looking at radar too.
Okay.
That's another option, which is a little less susceptible to those shadows and things. So we are looking at different technologies. We want something that he can maintain too.
All right.
The other thing I'll note is the township, Matt did receive the agreement for the 2022 Green Light Go project. So that, along with the the one above it, the Traffic Signal Technologies project, that's something that's going to be moving forward. That's upgrading detection, replacing the old controllers, that the controllers out there are older system. It's no longer be able to remote monitor. It's going to try to connect it back to PennDOT's King of Prussia traffic control center so that we can use their system and get remote access to it. So that's a whole upgrade for those corridors. And one thing I saw on the police station presentation that we might want to consider is those control boxes right on the corner where that wall was shown. So maybe if that's something we can move out of the way, maybe it's something we can incorporate that into the project. I think that's all the things I wanted to highlight there.
That's a good point, Anton. And I wonder I assume that there is a distance requirement?
From the intersection. Usually you want to place it so that you can view the signals operation. So maybe a different corner.
Yep. All right.
Have you experienced PennDOT taking up responsibility for
Traffic signals.
corridors?
I've heard of them do it, but right now the only ones they've taken over off I-76,
Okay.
diversion corridors, you know, those ones. But it's part of the Act 89 legislation is that they're supposed to look at assuming responsibility of corridors. I don't know if they have a priority list of where to go, but yes, it's something that's out there.
So we had that dusty old study, the 611 corridor study, that I have constantly talked to PennDOT about and look for acceptance at their level and some initiatives that would go along with some of the things we're doing already.
Right.
How about the Paraline Trail? You have any updates on that? Because we,
Powerline Trail last month, we submitted the grant application for the construction and inspection through the PennDOT TASA application. Talking with them, it's likely February, March is when announcements might come out, but it was heavily supported by the county last round, so hopefully we get that support again. And we had a meeting with DVRPC in the county, and I thought it went well.
and the YMCA's been supportive and they're looking for ways to stay involved with that too, to make a connection with the school. There's one item on here that I really want to talk about, because we had our grant award of $250,000 and the Bonnet Lane utility relocation. So we have initiated this conversation with PICO and their political representative, where all those lines that are along the Bonnet Lane side of Mill Road are pretty much distribution lines for the services that were rendered by the houses that used to be there. I consider them obsolete. So instead of us paying $250,000 to bury these obsolete lines, why can't they just be eliminated by PICO?
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's something we're gonna initiate, reaching out to the utilities and.
Matt and
getting
I had an initial meeting with
Okay.
PICO about that, and I'd like to follow up on that.
Yeah, we should have a follow. And it looks like that, I think they're mostly comms lines along that. the Mill
Yeah, and
Road
then
side.
there's, so across the street on Mill Road, you have the high-tension transmission lines. And anything that's necessary could be hooked on those poles. We could lose the poles and the wires, and then it would be a good step forward to the things we want to do with that park.
Yep, agreed.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's all I had.
Any questions?
I want to talk about that dumb light at York and Church. Because one thing I brought up last month, and I didn't really get a good explanation. And what I see is in the morning when those 25,000 cars are going through that intersection, it just turns red. And there are no cars on Church either side. And we sit there for, 30 seconds or more, and then we move forward. I don't understand that. And somebody said that we paved over the loops. I don't understand why that happened. Why does it stop?
Let him answer. Is it timing? Is it like strictly on timing?
So the side street comes green and stops 611?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably, it might be a loop failure, as he mentioned. So it's something I can reach out to Mike.
I think the other thing to remember all these, and you can probably address this better than I can, but these signals are an integrated system with all of the signals. So they're controlling how many vehicles are approaching all of the other traffic signals. Yeah, I'm not suggesting that's what this issue is, but sometimes it will appear to look like, why is it doing that? But it's considering 5 or 6 traffic signals and controlling the access to each of those signals.
It's right at the red from the railroad crossing.
Yeah.
Maybe that has something to do with it. Is that timing an issue?
I think York and Church should just be, if nobody's on the side street, it shouldn't come up. From what I remember, that's how it should operate.
Great. Thank
But it was forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's probably a loop failure or
Okay.
something.
I didn't dig there.
Or it could be a push button. Even push buttons, if they fail, it'll bring up the ped. So it's a safety thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions for our traffic engineer? Hearing none, thank you very much. Oh, come on up, Mr. Long.
John Long. I'm just curious, what's the project at Commerce and Maryland? You mentioned a bridge there. I'm not familiar with one. It's down the road a little bit maybe, but.
Right. So Maryland and Commerce, it's the county or township received a county grant to make double lefts off of Commerce onto Maryland. Today it's a single left. So that's what that project is.
Oh, okay.
There's another bridge that's down Maryland between the self-storage.
Yeah,
and
between the self-storage and 2500.
Where the creek
The
was.
creek goes underneath. That's where we have to redo that whole bridge.
That's a great question.
It's
So,
going to be tough for you guys to get down to the corner. You're going to have to go Blair Mill for a little while.
that's a good point, though, like how we have 2 lanes going onto the turnpike now, it cuts down on the timing of the light. So the idea here is to bring 2 lanes all the way from, in front of your building, from Commerce and Blair Mill, 2 lanes all the way down, 2 lanes making a left onto Maryland, and then 2 lanes from Commerce on Maryland all the way down to the turnpike, down the Eastern Road.
Will that, are you going to have to change the width of the road?
Now,
No.
pretty much does it by getting rid of some of those concrete islands that are there and tightening up the lanes a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, it's only for roughly an hour a day that occurs. So.
It's a very difficult hour.
Hour a day.
And we have reached out to, perfect examples, UPS is a big user of that. We asked them to assist us. Okay, let's go right into the rest of our reports. Paul, you want to start this off?
Sure. I've provided the committee with copies of my 2023, September 2023 monthly report, and as a comparison, I've also included the September 2022 report. I have nothing further to add to either one of those reports, but happy to answer any questions.
My comment's going to be really brief because I experienced this personally. So I learned recently that there was 7 properties in Upper Moreland Township that transferred ownership through tax sales, tax abatement sales, tax that weren't being paid. And then, we constantly talk about what are we going to do for housing, and I think this is a missed opportunity by the county and things that we should be continuing to talk about. That's my only comment about what recently happened. And it's going to result in a lot of work for Paul's office because there's 7 new properties that are going to be seeking permits and adjustment of their improvements and all that. So a lot of work to come, and we constantly talk about what can we do for about homeless and affordable housing. And again, these were missed opportunities that I think that the county should have partnered with, and we didn't get there. Anybody have any other comments for Paul's report? Okay, we'll move right into the Township Engineer's report. Mr. Hirsch.
Thank you, Kevin. My report's in your packets. Bulk of what we've been working on is the police station project, which we discussed tonight. Aside from that, I don't really have anything to add, but I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. 4-0 Phils.
4-0 Phillies.
No?
We have an opening date yet for Olive Garden?
Looks like it's open to me right now.
We've been doing, since midweek last week, we've been doing walkthroughs pretty much each day. What they're looking to do is they're looking for the temporary CO for Wednesday, just to start training their staff, or so they can start scheduling that, so getting close.
Okay, so 2 items that, Paul, you could probably answer them better than Jim right now. One is the car wash at Linden and Easton, the old 7-Eleven.
Yes, I did send an email out to the board last week. That project's, it's done. It's not going anywhere. They backed out of their agreement.
Okay. And the other one, do we have any updates on County Line Road? 1740 County Line Road.
Pre-construction meeting there tomorrow afternoon for restoration of the stormwater basin in the rear of the property.
Excellent. We'll look for more information next month. Any questions for the engineer's report? Okay. Hearing none, I think the sale of the totes is the biggest item on the Public Works and Sanitation report, and in the absence of Mr. Elseer and the activities in Philadelphia, we will wait for an update on him next month.
Yeah, the only thing I will add to
Dave's report.
a lot of comments that we got about the trash, why we did it, why we did that. For anybody here or in the audience, each guy each month lifts between 40 and 45,000 pounds, each trash person. That gives you an idea why we're going to this. They no longer have to lift the cans. They're automatically dumped into the truck. They just have to bring them out.
Oh, right.
So that is the whole reason that we went to this, is because injuries and stuff, and it's a lot of weight that they lifted, and that is strictly the trash. That's not the single stream, anything. That is just the regular trash. That's how much they lift, minimum, in a month, each person.
Any other? Okay. Lynette, EAC report?
Let's see, so obviously we met in October and updated several of our, let's see, I need to read my own report here. All right, so we talked before about a project with the Upper Moreland Intermediate School and Middle School about leaving leaves on the oak trees, under the oak trees. We sent a letter, we haven't heard back, so we don't, no progress on that yet. And we would want to provide an educational sign as to why we're doing this. The Outdoor Environmental Education Center has made some progress. We now have the fencing that keeps kids from going out into park. And we, of course, have the ADA ramp, and hopefully our next step will be the presentation stage. So we're looking into doing a design and getting estimates on that. And we did receive the $500 Birdtown grant, and we're waiting for it to quit raining enough that we can clear the area in Pelechi Park and then start to plant. And again, we want to do an educational sign for that area as well as why native plants are so important for the birds. And we also talked about, of course, Ready for 100. Hopefully we could have Bill Saby come and do a presentation at some point. Yes, no, maybe?
No objections.
Okay. And again, we're planning to restart the Going Green talks again this year with some information perhaps on recycling, and our student representative recommended we do clothing upcycling, which personally, since I never buy anything new, I hadn't heard of. So some interesting topics, hopefully. Any questions?
None, but you heard that, we continue to work on the Paraline Trail and the Cross County Trail, and there's a lot of energy there. So I like the educational signage, and we should continue those ideas that we talked about with other educational signage along the trail. Maybe over by the Penny Pack or the Y, wherever the trail goes, there's certainly a feature that we can identify with that's important.
Thank you.
Historical Commission.
Hi there, Sue Manor for the Historical Commission.
Thank you very much for being here also.
You have my report. We just wanted to remind everybody in the township that we are having our spooktacular historical event at the farmstead. Get this out of my face, I'm sorry. On the 28th, we have our Parks and Rec first Saturday, and then we're the 28th. So we have two fabulous events coming up in the township. Jackie Sherapinski, as last year, is our coordinator for that. And it's free, family-friendly, kid-friendly. You can wear costumes or not. The fire is going to be set by the fire company and well-maintained. Our police department will be there, and of course, Parks and Rec back us phenomenally for this, as does the Farmstead Alliance. So this is quite an event. We hope, although I didn't speak to Alan today, that we also have the bottom floor of the farmstead itself opened, so that I know many residents have never been inside, and it's phenomenal to see it, just in its sort of bare bones level at this point. So we're very excited to have people come. You can sign up at the website. The township website has that link. Our Facebook page has it. Our website page has it. So there's many ways that you can let us know. The last, and I think first and last time I heard a number, there were 78 people already signed up, and I think that was 2 weeks ago. So it's a come one, come all. We're not suggesting that any number of people can't be there. Again, food, free, fun, fire, and fear. So it all matches really well. We're excited for that. Again, Paul, we are going to get you a complete listing of all of our people who are on the inventory, so that you know when someone comes in with any type of building issue that you can direct them back to us, and then we'll close the loop. We did not get the response that we had hoped to get from our owners, so I'm going to have to go back out and, individually call and check on everybody. But I think within a year, we'll get people to just sort of pro forma know that, check in with the Historical Commission, we're still on. And we did have one person actually reach out to us and ask to have their house looked at as a specific outcome of our September 11th event on deed researching, which is held over at the library. One of the largest that the Recorder of Deeds has had in the entire county. There were 45 people in the room, give or take. And that was a really well-attended and very appreciated event in the township. So maybe we will do that again for people who come in and want their houses looked at. But we had someone who asked specifically about their historical home. We're going to check into that. Other than that, I don't think, except for what you might want everyone to know about, 2 residents came forward. They asked to be part of the Historical Commission, and one of our current historical commissioners has asked to take a half step down into an alternate position. So as of when you all full board decide next month on those memberships, we will have a full board. And
Awesome.
That's unto itself fairly exciting for me.
That is very exciting.
Yes. And our project going forward will be, again, to revisit the Ferguson track and to come up with a specific way of honoring the Ferguson track. The idea of street toppers at the entrance points from Allison to Easton to Moreland to Fitzwatertown has been brought back into the room. We're going to look at that seriously. Not that we didn't look at it seriously before, it was a money concern. And so we will, again, because the historical sign project is nearly, well, it's completed for us. We have not made any decisions with you as to funding any more of those signs going forward. So the project will be, at this point, 2023, considered done. So we will have money within our budget next year to maybe consider the Ferguson track in a very serious way. So there you go.
One question.
Yes, sir.
So we talk about inventory in the Historical Commission.
Yes.
And, you know, the qualifications that have changed in the last 20 years, they've gone back and forth a couple different times. In general, we're at 75 years now, right?
Yes.
So what does that mean? The house was built when? I'm not good at math.
Well, honestly, the issue, again, and we need to probably highlight this, is not the age of the home. It's the combined issues and concerns and thoughts about age and who was there. Like if somebody was a famous architect and built something, think Frank Lloyd Wright and the Jewish synagogue in Abington, and built in, don't quote me, 57, 58, or 59, that historical, yes, we'd be having a sign on it, and it's, yeah, 57, anyone born in 57 is probably not saying, I'm not 75, so, but we'd want to put an historical sign on it. So we're looking now, not that we're avoiding 75, but we're looking at the 100. So
Right.
we're looking at 2026, because of the 250th anniversary. So we're not as much looking at getting houses on because somebody says my house is 75 years old. It's what happened there, or who lived there, or what did they contribute to our community. That's what we're looking for. So I don't think anyone has to say, well, we have so many old houses. Yes, we do, and they're charming to go by. Go down Lincoln, go through the Civil War area, Lincoln, Sherman, et cetera. Great cottages, beautiful craftsman work. You're never going to see it again if we take it down. So lots to appreciate and lots for us to look at.
I did participate.
But all those homes, by the way, are all, could be historically designated, the ones I just mentioned.
I did do the tour one year when we went around up, well, it was a couple years it happened, but I did one year, I did visit several different homes that were on the tour. Very good. I enjoyed that immensely. So I encourage the commission and the Historical Association work together to bring that back again.
We'd like to do something like that, that's for sure. I did, and I didn't have this in here because it happened yesterday. I had an opportunity in another event to speak with the county people who are involved in at least starting to put together something for 2026 in the county. And I relate to you that we're ahead of them, just with the discussions we've had here about things that we can do, things we want to do.
Doesn't surprise me a bit.
Well then, I'm just supporting what you've already thought. but neither was I, except for the fact that there was kind of an automatic damper response on it all, saying it's not going to be anything like it was. And then there was a pause and a look up to heaven. And then I said, 1976? And she said, oh, yeah. I mean, there was just a sudden not remembering. Yes, that's because you weren't here for it, but I was. And so, it was, well, I really wasn't, but that's okay. Yeah, I was here on this earth, and it was fabulous, and we did a lot. And this is Philadelphia. This is the birthplace of the United States of America. I was a little disappointed in the county response. I know we were not at that event where we were going to talk about it, but, we stepped aside to do that, and this is what came of it. So anything we do here to bring attention, I always say, and will continue to say, history is a huge economic driver, and we need to take advantage of our status here in Montgomery County. So.
Thank you for your report. Thank you for your service.
Quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
This sound system for October 28th, has that been coordinated?
Working on it.
Okay.
And then therefore I turned to Matt. Did anything come of anything that you said about a sound system being available?
Yeah,
Pat?
Yeah, you just need to check with Pat. Pat said he thinks it's available, you just need to coordinate with him.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
actually, okay, because I didn't get an actual email back to the thank you, I didn't see you tonight.
You just
Okay.
contact Pat.
Okay, I think we're good.
Sounds great. Glad to work that out.
Anything else? We're good? Good?
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Any visitor comments? Come on up.
Yeah. Thank you. I can read my own writing. This will go well. Good evening. Again, my name is Jolie Price. I am here as a community member and as a parent and as a school board member. However, I'm not here tonight on behalf of the entire school board. I'm speaking just for myself. I have concerns about the Executive Muse project and the impact on our schools. I've emailed with Matt Canlin about this, who shared, and I'll quote him, we do not have any enrollment projections for housing projects. This is not something we normally do or have done in the past. I've also heard, and forgive me if I'm mistaken, I realize I'm coming in the middle of this, that the developers projected 16 additional public school students would be added to the district from this, this development. And I've also heard comparisons of the Executive Muse project to the station at Willow Grove, the apartment complex across the street from the train station, as a supporting data point of the limited impact to the district that, and as well as that the Executive Muse marketing focuses on residents without students. And this is a cogent argument. I understand it makes sense. However, it's a cogent argument for the first year of the project. What I haven't heard, and I would love to be wrong, or I have missed something, so forgive me if I've missed anything, is the extent to which there's been consideration of what the impact of the development will be in 5 or 10 years or more on the school district. Comparisons to the station at Willow Grove is convenient for the developers, whose objective is for the project to be built. But it won't be new construction forever. Something else will eventually be newer, and with that, more luxurious and more attractive. Blair Mill East in Ward 2 is also a development with 1 and 2 bedrooms. Applying a similar ratio of units to students that occurs now at Blair Mill East to the Executive Muse suggests what we might see in growth in the future, and it would be north of 50 students from the Executive Muse project. The decision made by this body has an enduring effect on our community. And it may be inconvenient for the developers to share this, but my hope is that you will consider, if you haven't already, what will what this may look like in the future. I'd love to see an ordinance. I have no expectations that this can happen to apply to executive views, but I would love to see an ordinance requiring developers to submit a third-party enrollment projection for 1, 5, and 10 years for any complex with greater than 10 units. And judging from Matt's email to me, it seems like this may not already exist. I think it would be great to have a similar approach for an impact to sewer, emergency response, trash, and other infrastructure if this isn't already happening, which it may be. The school district has no decision rights on this matter, but will definitely be impacted, and I implore you to have a full understanding of what it looks like for Upper Moreland today and in the future. Thank you for all that you do in Upper Moreland and the considerable investment you've each made in our community.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Any visitor comments? I'll give you a response in a second.
Thank you.
Commissioner Spearing, before you give said response, I'd just like to remind you that, so this was a conditional use application, correct, that this came off of, and you had a public hearing with a court reporter, and you guys were acting as a quasi-judicial body. So public comments, while welcome and appreciated, cannot be debated at this point.
I understand that. I strongly understand that. Thank you.
Back again. So today I was reading online about Burger King, and I just wanted to make a few comments, commenting in reflection to what Mrs. Price just said. Burger King has been taken over, and they are looking at removing certain Burger King franchises or outlets from their grouping, and Glenside came up as one, and Willow Grove, which has been, in my time frame, fairly newly renovated, is another one. I don't know whether you have read ahead or seen that or somebody's contacted you, but when I think about that, I can barely remember the diner. I certainly remember the gas station. I don't go to the Burger King, but it's there, and I appreciate that it is. I remember the courthouse when it was an AMP, and things change. However, when I look at that land, I think it's very possible if the powers that be take that franchise away, and that is an open building, somebody will grab that piece of land, and I don't know where we stand with what I still call the courthouse, the county building. I don't know where that still stands. Obviously, the courthouse isn't there anymore. But I look at that and I think, is anybody watching the hen house? Because are we going to have another developer come in and offer something to this body and go through zoning hearing and put up another 7-story building right there, right on top of everything, right in the heart of our downtown, and literally turn us into a drive-through New Jersey, big building on one side, big building on the other, no need to stop except at the gas station. You're gonna grab a sandwich and go. And then to the point of what was just stated, how many buildings will be empty. So going forward, I would like this important body to consider, and I'd like to hear in the year to come, the people who sit up here, tell us about your vision for this township. I'd like to hear individually what you see when I'm certainly gone. I mean, I'm building my life for my grandchildren right now. The oldest is 20. So, okay, let's say she lives to be 100. We can do the math. Older than an historic home. So that said, that's where I look. And I look around this township, and well, I can name you the houses that are older than 80. So I look around and I go, are we building for that generation that's so far ahead of us or behind us? Or what are we doing? Because I'd like to hear what we want, not what a developer wants us to have. And I'd like to consider each of your opinions on that as we head into 2024.
Thank you for your request. Appreciate that. Thank you. Any other visitor comments? Commissioner comments? Okay, I have one. Back to Ms. Price's comments about the decision-making of that particular property. Everything was done in public, and everybody, including the school board, had opportunities to weigh in. And we are very, very conscientious. I appreciate your comments, and I think they're fair assessments. But we do go to great lengths to keep the impact of the school involved in every single decision we make. The other thing I would like to say is that last Saturday, we participated in the Faith in Blue event at the YMCA. It was a very community conscious event, and it brought churches and police department and emergency responders. We had a touch a truck event, and it was real community oriented. And I encourage that. I want to thank the YMCA and what's the school teacher's name from? What's her name? No, I'm so sorry, I can't remember her name. The school teacher from the middle school. She coordinates it every year. Does a great job. Thank you very much. You got her name?
Yeah, just that there's not another meeting before Pumpkins on Parade this Saturday,
28th, right?
21st.
Oh.
So
This Saturday,
call
yeah.
Parks and Rec to, might even be able to do it online to get tickets for it or whatever. But there won't be a meeting between now and then. I just wanted to bring that up.
That's a good point. And buying your Pumpkins and Parade tickets is strongly encouraged because they do a lot of planning and have things set up for that. Any commissioner comments? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Go Phillies.
Still ahead.
Thank you all.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Hey, John.